Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to BASECAMP, the best way to start your day. This past weekend, I missed Collide because I was preaching in the adult service. And one of the things that I said was that we need to begin to see the future differently. I actually encourage your parents to see your future differently, to be open to you taking more risk. Well, we're going to get into risk today. That's one of the qualities of the essentials that we've been talking about. So what is risk? Risk is actually doing something without the knowledge of what will happen. Maybe you've seen a movie where there's a bomb that is threatening people, and there's a person with a set of wire cutters and they don't know which one to cut, red or green. Does red mean stop, like stop the bomb? Or does red mean boom? Or does green mean go, like go and cut it? Or like the bomb is going to go boom? Or does green mean go in that everyone will get to go home if you cut that one? I don't know what is going, or you don't know what's going to happen in that moment, so cutting the red wire or the green wire is a risk. Risk is when you do something and you don't know whether you might die or get sick or be rejected or criticized or laughed at. One of my favorite preachers is a guy named John Piper. And here's what he has to say about risk. Quote, "There are right risks and there are wrong risks. And the right ones are the ones that we need to grasp and walk into with love in our hearts. People take all kinds of risks that are very selfish. People do all kinds of things just for entertainment. I think we should risk our life for Jesus, not for fun." End quote. What risks might God be preparing you to take for Jesus? That's my big question for you today. If you have your Bible, open with me to the book of Daniel. Daniel's in the Old Testament after Psalms and Proverbs, but before you get to all the names that are a little bit hard to pronounce, like Zephaniah and Haggai, you'll find Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, and then Daniel. The book of Daniel shares the story of the people of Israel taken into exile in Babylon. If you were at Collide Fall Retreat, this would be after the kingdom is divided. Daniel is a key figure, and you may know him because of his famous night in the lion's den. But he also had a few buddies that took a serious risk. Their names were Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. You might know them as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, or you might know them as Rack, Shack, and Benny from VeggieTales. They actually had to change their names when they came to Babylon. Those are just some fun facts. Well, the king, Nebuchadnezzar, decided that he wanted everyone to worship him, so he created a huge statue. And he said that everyone had to bow down and worship the statue of him whenever the music played. If they didn't, they would be killed by being thrown into a fiery furnace. So let's see what happens. This is Daniel chapter 3, starting in verse 8. But some of the astrologers went to the king and informed him on the Jews. They said to King Nebuchadnezzar, "Long live the king! You issued a decree requiring all the people to bow down and worship the gold statue when they hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipes, and other musical instruments. That decree also states that those who refuse to obey must be thrown into the blazing furnace. But there are some Jews, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, whom you have put in charge of the province of Babylon. They pay no attention to you, your majesty. They refuse to serve your gods and do not worship the gold statue you have set up." Then Nebuchadnezzar flew into a rage, and he ordered that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be brought before him. When they were brought in, Nebuchadnezzar said to them, "Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you refuse to serve my gods or to worship the gold statue that I have set up? I'll give you one more chance to bow down and worship the statue that I have made when you hear the sound of the musical instruments. But if you refuse, you will be thrown immediately into the blazing furnace. And then what God will be able to rescue you from my power?" Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God whom we serve is able to save us. He will rescue us from your power, your majesty. But even if he doesn't, we want to make it clear to you, your majesty, that we will never serve your gods or worship the golden statue that you have set up." It's a pretty impressive statement, right? Notice what they say. They have faith that God will save them, but they don't know for sure. They're taking a risk. And they make a really powerful statement. Even if he doesn't save us, we want to make it clear that we're not going to serve your gods or worship the golden statue that you have set up. That takes some guts with death on the line. You may know the end of the story, but just in case, God does indeed save them. And the king makes a decree that everyone should worship the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. But here's the thing, there are other stories in the Bible where people are not saved, where they take risks and it ends up hurting or in death. John the Baptist, one of Jesus' closest friends, takes a big risk when he calls out the king for making immoral choices. And he gets arrested, and he gets put in prison, and Jesus never saves him. He actually gets beheaded. See, if we knew that God was always going to spare us pain, it wouldn't be risk. Sometimes we're rescued, and other times we actually have to walk through the pain and the ridicule and the struggle. And that's the way that we point people to Jesus, showing the world around us that Jesus is worth everything. He's more than pain. He's worth being criticized, even dying. And we can take those types of extraordinary risks because if you've trusted Jesus to be the leader and forgiver of your life, you know that life on this earth is not the end. Heaven for all eternity is the reward for those who trust Jesus. So why not take a risk that's actually worth something? I believe that God is calling you to do hard things, difficult things, things that are painful and sacrificial, and that may be totally confusing to most of the people around you. It might be something in your school right now, like standing up for what is true, or making a living overseas in a very dangerous place in order to share with others the message and love of Jesus. Whatever God calls you to, I hope you'll be willing to take the risk when the time comes. Have a great Wednesday, and we'll see you back here on Friday.